Okay. Um, so today I am here back again. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you do not know who I am, my name is Laura Ojui, and I'm here to discuss with you something that may impact you in your life positively. I'm talking today about the concept of compounding. So, compounding is a financial phenomenon that makes time work in your favor. It is what happens when when your investment earnings are added to your principal, forming a larger base on which earnings may accumulate. And as your investment base gets larger, it has a potential to grow faster. So I remember the first time I was introduced to the concept of compounding was when I was in my class, I think class 7. I was in class 7, and I think at that time I was around 12 years or something like that. So, according to the standards of my school, I was kind of a guru in mathematics, but not as much. Yeah, I was trying. So, um, the concept of compounding was that other than the simple interest, there was compound interest. So compound interest was where you use the principal and then you add the amount that you've invested. So for example, if you invested like 3,000 at the beginning of your business and the profits that you've earned have accumulated to like 10,000. So this 10,000 becomes your new principal. So that is the concept of compounding. So compounding works with the additional stuff that comes after you've added the initial principal. So why am I discussing compounding in addiction recovery and mental health? Well, the thing that I've noticed with us as human beings is that we expect to be good. We expect to be expert at things like immediately. Like we expect that we are born and we find out that okay, I'm born and okay, I'm alive and I'm perfect. But the truth is, we are born, and when we are born clueless. And the environment that we live in shapes us to become the individuals that we eventually become and we are aware of when we are grown up. It was way back in 2021, and I was supposed to be transitioning from my third year of medical school to my fourth year of medical school. Unfortunately, at the time, I had done my end of year exams for my third year, and when I did this end of year exams for my third year, I was heavily addicted to drugs. And naturally, I didn't perform so well. I had a supplementary in one subject. So, this subject that I had a supplementary in, so it so happened that we were to be given 20 days before the supplementary was to be done again. So I think we closed school at around 4th or 3rd of April or 3rd, 4th of April, somewhere around there. So when we closed school, the supplementary exam was set to be done on the 26th of April of 2021. So yeah, me being the addict that I am, I went and wilded myself out on drugs. I wilded myself out on all sorts of things that I could get my hands on. And unfortunately, I found myself having to deal with a psychotic episode during this time. So this was between the 20 days that we were given in order to prepare for the supplementary exam that we were supposed to do. So I went and wilded myself out and found myself having to be admitted at a psychiatric facility. So the 26th came, and unfortunately, I was still admitted at a psychiatric facility. So this happened. This truly happened. Yeah. So medical school is not a joke, and especially when you are someone who is already addicted to drugs. Drugs themselves, they reduce your IQ. Drugs, they make you sluggish. They make you lazy. They make you not be able to participate in your best capacity. So I found myself having to go back to school and request for another chance to do the exam. Well, it did not go well, and the dean actually wanted me to repeat my third year of school, and I wasn't having it. Well, if it's not luck, because myself, I attribute everything that has happened to me ever since the addiction started to luck, because I was so lucky to an extent that the dean allowed me to do the exam. Yes, despite me going to his office and trying to break stuff. Like, sometimes I look back into the life I was living and I think, okay, you were really wilding it out. So, um, well, I won't tell you about how I went to his office and acted the way I acted. Well, that is a story for another day. But the thing is, I was his arch nemesis at the time. I was his arch nemesis, and he had sworn that if I ever did anything to affect my studies again, that would be the last time I was given a chance at school again. So I went back and I did the exam, of which I didn't perform well, but I managed to get the cutoff and move to the fourth year of study. So on October, I think 4th of October 2021, I also decided to go cold turkey on the drugs. So that was me beginning fourth year, and I wanted just to do this. I really, really wanted to stay clean for this. I had promised myself that I was going to stay clean, I was going to do my best, I was going to, like all these things that we addicts promise that we're going to do, that you're going to stay clean, you're going to do all this, you're going to, like, man, it's a lot. So I promised myself that I was going to stay clean. And despite all the promises that I made to myself, I only managed to stay clean for 5 months. And on the fifth month that I relapsed and I dropped out of school completely. And I even told my parents and I told my family that I'm not going back to school completely. So everyone was so confused, because at the time I was doing quite well. I was going to school early. I was waking up early. Nilikuwa najituma. I was studying. I was doing my best in school. But then, come beginning of the second semester, I just tell my parents, no, I'm not doing school anymore and I'm dropping out. As shocked as they were, I was more shocked. I was shocked. I was the most shocked in all these things, yeah? Like, you see how, like I was breaking the news to them, I was also breaking the news to myself. Like, I didn't know that such words could come out of my mouth. I was shocked. I was shocked beyond comprehension. So I actually dropped out of school. That was in 2021, January 19th. That was the last class. I did my psychiatric exam and I dropped out of school. That particular day I dropped out. The main reason I did drop out, I have never known up until now, but I dropped out. Yeah. So I went back home, and when I went back home, well, such news, people don't take them quite well, because why would you drop out of school? Because you're being catered for school fees, you're being catered for meals, like you're not suffering enough to drop out of school. But unfortunately, I dropped out. So after this particular scenario, I wilded out on drugs again. I wilded out, but during that, like within that year, I had episodes of sobriety. Like, I had 1 month in, 2 months in, 3 weeks in, for like 2 weeks in. I was doing like episodes of sobriety. Like, I was practicing sobriety step by step, So despite the things that people were seeing, like people were seeing me and they were saying, okay, this girl is crazy. This girl is throwing away her life and she is going to regret. And yeah, I do regret dropping out, but not as much, not anymore. Yeah. So um, I dropped out, and I, despite being a loser in real life, because what do you call someone who has been taken to school and for one of the most prestigious courses, and instead of coming back with a degree, you come back as an addict and you drop out of school? What do you call that person? Well, that is a loser. So despite being a loser, I was really, really obsessed with getting better. I wanted to get better. I wanted to get sober. So I actively immersed myself into self improvement content. I could read books about sobriety. I could listen to podcasts about people getting sober and how they did it. And I was so obsessed with people who turned their lives around, like from being an utter failure to achieving heights of success that were unfathomable when they were utter failures. So I promised myself that I wasn't going to give up. So during that time, despite everything that was against me, and obviously the environment was a little, not even a little, the environment was hostile, because this is Africa. You can't just drop out of school and expect that your family will hail you and or like support you. Okay, they did support me in the best way possible that they could, but still, it is not advisable to drop out of school and expect that your parents or your siblings or your family will just be okay with it. So I found myself in a very tight spot. So I I was determined to get better. So I would do 1 week in, 2 weeks in sobriety, and I think that same year, 2022, I went for 2 months sober. That's around November, I think October, November, December. And then in January 2023, I relapsed again. The same way I wilded out on the drugs, I wilded out on self improvement. I really wanted to improve myself during this time, and sometimes I went 2 months sober, I went 3 months sober, but I always kept relapsing. But then on June 19th of 2023, everything just turned around, and I decided that I was never ever going to use drugs again. I told myself that I would have to kill myself first before I ever use drugs again. I told myself that if it's like either a reality of drugs or death, I would have to choose death. Yeah. So I made a decision. And I wasn't going back. I made a decision that was the last time I was doing that. And right now, as we speak, I'm a year into sobriety, and I'm only going stronger. So what has that got to do with the concept of compounding? Well, at first, I would invest hours of studying about sobriety. I would invest hours of listening to people who had made it. I invested time practicing being sober. Those 2 months to 1 week, those 2 months or those 3 months that I spent being sober, they taught me the value of sobriety. Despite my lack of capability to stay sober during that time, they really added to me being able to reach a year sober now. Due to the fact that I relapsed so much in the past, I have learned so much about the process of relapse. I've learned so much about the psychological processes that take place when someone is about to relapse. And to an extent, I have become an expert in relapse prevention, and I've become an expert in managing my emotions in order to be able to stay calm at the face of adversity, or in order to stay calm when the emotions get overwhelming. You know, the thing that keeps people addicted is the emotional cycles that someone has. These stem from the trauma that you've been through all your life, and not even the trauma, but also the ignorance that you were born with. So addiction is not only about trauma, but it's also about ignorance and your inability to wrap your mind around these concepts these concepts altogether. So when you come to realize the importance of staying sober, and when you practice sobriety as much, then the compound interest pays off. So right now, I can manage my emotions better. Right now, I can practice relapse prevention so much better than I could in the past. So right now, I can come here and lay out my strategy to anyone who is struggling with addiction and tell them that there is hope for tomorrow. So right now, I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do in the past. This is because of the compounding effect of the actions that I took during the time that I was battling with addiction in order to stay sober. So what I'm trying to say is that if you're someone who is dealing with addiction, if you're dealing with mental health issues, mental health issues come in so many fashions and so many forms. So there are people who are dealing with narcissistic personality disorder. There are people who are dealing with depression. There are people who are battling anxiety. So there are people who are also battling addiction. And let me tell you, addiction is a cocktail of so many mental health disorders. And someone who is an addict is battling, let me just say, he's battling all these battles put together. So when you try and you compound these things and you say that I'm going to fight this battle step by step and I'm not going to give up, then the compound interest will add up. The compounding effect of what you're doing will add up. So the point is, with a little investment here and adding on the initial investment, and then adding the investment again, profit to the investment, then you get compound interest. So you get behavior change, you get personality upgrade, you get a lot of things that you never would get if you just gave up to begin with. So the point is to keep going. The point is consistency. The point is consistency. The point is to keep going. And the point is to just, you just become like Mike Tyson, like you get knocked out and you get back up again. I've been knocked out so many times. Like the times that I was going back to treatment facilities, I was truly knocked out. But despite that, I stood back up and I had to do it because I had set my mind towards beating this addiction. Well, you guys can give up as much as you want, but at the end of the day, you'll realize that there is no value in giving up, and that the best thing that you can do for yourself is keep going, and so that you can reap on the benefits of compounding. So that is my video topic for today, and thank you for listening. This is a long video. With the attention deficit that is out in the world right now, I doubt if you get into the 5 minutes, but if you get into the end of the video, I would like to just big up and tell you thank you very much for watching the whole video. And I hope this message will help someone who is dealing with addiction and spread awareness on mental health and to help people live a better life through continuous self-improvement and continuous getting back up despite being knocked out. Share this video, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching. I'm grateful.